And looks like we can start. So, well, I did want to give you a little bit of an introduction.
Like you last time?
This is Daryl Anka.
Hi.
The magical channel for Bashar. So, anyway, I just want to thank you for being magical, because there's just... It is amazing. And we really appreciate the gift of the information that you share with us. And we are really excited to hear more.
Thank you.
So thank you for bringing through Bashar and being fabulous yourself.
Oh, thanks. Are you having a good time? Yeah. Good. Let's have some more. I'm going to sleep now. I'm just curious, before we start, how many people have never heard Bashar live before? Wow. I guess I'd have to include myself in that, wouldn't I? How many people are hearing Bashar for the first time in any form? Okay, still quite a few. Thank you for coming. All right, I'm going to go to sleep and let you have some more fun. So this will probably be the questioner thing, so people that got their names drawn, get ready to come up to the mic when he starts asking for questions. Good day to you this day of your time. How are you all? So, an earthquake and a hurricane. You really know how to tell a story. Very exciting. Very good. We want to hang with you. So then, in what you have absorbed in our initial transmission, we would now like to ask you a question. Anyone may choose to answer. 'Tis up to you. What is the single most important archetypal element that makes the hero interesting?
The sorcerer.
The villain. The antagonist is responsible for the level of interest you have in the protagonist. Think about that. Think about some of your favorite books and films. Many times you'll actually be surprised when you think back and remember to realize that one of the more interesting characters was actually the villain. Many times you actually can't even really remember the hero as strongly as you remember the villain. The villain defines the hero. Without the idea of the negative side, the hero has nothing to be heroic about. Thus then, in many ways, you can say it is the negative side that allows the positive side to be so memorable. Because it is only in the overcoming and the transformation of the challenges posed to the hero that allow you to truly go on the hero's journey with him or her. And for that, you have the villain to thank. So this is why it is so important to not so much push the negative ideas away, but incorporate them in a manner that allows you, as the hero of your own story, to become that much more interesting, that much more well-defined. As we have said many times in these transmissions to many of you will find that the easiest way to find out what you are is to experience more clearly what you are not. Thus, then, by giving yourself the opportunity to interact with those challenging negative scenarios, by giving yourself the opportunity to let rise to the surface of your consciousness those negative beliefs and to become aware of them, you give yourself the opportunity to have something to transform. You give yourself the opportunity to become an active, heroic individual in your own story. This doesn't mean you have to get a big ego. That might be another antagonist that you can write a story around. But the idea is that as you become more heroic, you become truly more of yourself. But the way you get there, the path to being that legendary hero, is the true understanding and the true relationship that you form between the hero and the villain. And allowing that to be in perfect harmony and perfect balance, and knowing that the choice is always there to succumb to the negative side. But once you validate that the negative side has a reason for being, that it is an equal choice and a valid choice to any other choice you could make, then you go from being the villain in your own story to being the hero, because you incorporate both in a balanced way and thus are capable of simply choosing what you prefer without invalidating the negative side that brought you to that realization, that brought you to that understanding, that allowed you to become the hero you prefer to be. Do you understand? Yes. Not all of you? Do you understand? Yes. Thank you. In return for the gift that you are allowing us in this communication now, we ask, in what way may we be of further service through dialogue, question, and answer?
Get this just right for you, okay?
Just right. Sounds like something in a story. Not too hot, not too cold. Just right. Not too high, not too low, not too quiet, not too loud. Just right.
Hello, Bashar.
Good day to you. And so, what's your story?
My story is I am not going to hold back.
Oh, all right.
I'm not going to hold back.
When you are making, on your planet, a movie, what starts the story rolling? The word action. So important in living your story is to incorporate all the ideas, all the energy, all the beliefs into actual physical action, as you say, not holding back. Because you have chosen to be physically experiential beings, it is very important for you to ground your energy, ground what you prefer, ground your excitement into physical reality to attract physical manifestation and shifting to the reality you prefer through the completion of the circuit called physical action. So, you have decided to act who you are. Do not hold back. Very good. What else?
Okay, the dichotomy of that is I came up here to New Jersey this weekend to also surrender.
Yes.
I came here I have used my mind for 55 years to try and understand life and existence and reality. And
Must be tired.
yeah.
Poor little mind.
It's been 55 years of intense aerobic exercise, and
Yes.
I'm tired
All right.
of doing that.
All right.
I want to surrender to my heart, but yet,
All right.
but
oh, all right.
I would like to be who I know myself to be,
Yes.
which is bold.
Yes.
And
So you are willing to act on your excitement, which if you do in the purest form, will actually be experienced as surrendering to your total self, and thus will be experienced in a joyful and effortless way even as you act? Is that what you mean?
I would like to integrate the two so that they're...
Yes, that's what we just said.
Yeah.
The idea of surrender doesn't mean you take no action. The idea of surrender is to start to go with the flow of your true self so that all the action you take will not be struggle, but will be joy, will be play, will be effortless. You will still take action, but by surrendering to yourself, all the action will be exciting, will be joyful, will be pleasurable. That doesn't mean to surrender that you take no action.
Absolutely.
Does that make sense?
It makes total sense.
Is that what you meant?
It is what I meant.
All right. And so you will start doing this now? I sense hesitation.
I am right now in my life, I am performing something that I have had the most fun with of anything I've ever done.
Oh, thank you.
In my life. Now,
yes,
that whole idea of excitement leading to excitement.
Yes.
I don't have the next chapter planned.
You're not necessarily supposed to completely plan it out, you know. Remember that your physical mind has no capacity to know what's going to happen or how it's going to happen. Only your higher mind does. So the idea is that while the physical mind can form just a sufficient enough framework to know exactly where the hallway is you need to walk down, you can let your higher mind surprise you with exactly how you will be walking down that hallway. So you don't need to plan the whole thing out physically. Make sense?
Yes, that makes sense.
So the idea of excitement leading to excitement will simply be that once you have some degree of understanding of the framework or the structure, then you can simply get on about the business of acting to the best of your ability at every given moment on whatever opportunity has presented itself to you at that moment that contains the highest amount of excitement. And if you act on it without any expectation of what kind of manifestation or fruition it needs to come to, and you simply go forward to the best of your ability, taking it as far as you possibly can, as far as you are able to, without that expectation, then that will always put you in the proper place, at the proper time, with the proper people, to know exactly, synchronistically, what the next thing is that you need to take action on. Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
This is just physics, you know.
Sure, that makes sense.
All right. Is this something that you believe you can incorporate into your story?
I'm okay with spontaneity. I'm okay with just...
It's not just about what you call spontaneity, although that's a large factor. It doesn't mean that you give up thinking. It doesn't mean that you cannot see to some degree what the structure is, and it does not mean you cannot choose to gravitate in a particular direction according to your choices. Nevertheless, the idea is that you can allow much more synchronicity to reveal itself to you so that you don't have to overthink it. Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
Does that feel lighter?
Yes, it feels lighter.
But there is still some hesitation.
Well, yeah, here's the deal.
All right.
Here's
the deal. All right. What's the deal?
Here's the deal. I understand following the path of excitement and
One moment. We would like to offer you an opportunity to be a little bit more precise in your definitions here, because we often hear people on your planet say this to us. Well, I understand it intellectually, but I don't quite grasp it on this level or that level. Let's just be clear about this. If you're not actually doing it, you don't understand it. Because to understand is to do, is to know, is to be. That's what true understanding is. That's why understanding comes with experience. Because the idea is that when you understand something, you don't think about it, you just do it. That's understanding. There is no disconnection between understanding and action. So we know what you mean when you say that, but the truth is, if you're not actually acting in that way, you actually have not yet arrived at understanding, because I guarantee you, the moment you actually understand it, nothing will stop you from acting that way. So as long as there is any hesitation in your action, you actually don't yet have a complete understanding of it.
And again, that's only because I guess what my fear is,
yes,
when this little episode of what I'm doing right now,
yes,
comes to an end, which is a volunteer project from my church,
yes,
which I'm totally engaged in.
What is your fear?
My fear is
Here comes that part of the story.
Well, it's a lapse of, okay,
Lapse.
what is this going to move on to next? You
Who
know, what is
cares?
well,
Let me ask you a question. What you're actually saying is, and in conjunction with the idea that you say you are volunteering for your church, you are lacking faith. So the idea really is to go beyond faith into knowingness. If you really understand the principles and the concepts of what we're talking about, if you really understand the structure of existence and how reality works, you won't have to actually have faith. You can know that whatever it is that is the next thing that happens will be exactly what needs to happen. And when you respond to whatever happens with that knowledge, with that certainty, with that attitude, and in that energy, then you will see how whatever it is that has happened next will serve you as the stepping stone you actually needed at that moment. You don't need to know what it is before you take the step. In fact, you can't know what it is until you take the step. So the idea is actually, even though I know that many of you use the word faith, it's actually going beyond faith into knowingness. You actually don't need faith. You need to know. You need to understand how reality works. So let me put it to you in a very simple fashion. Whatever it is that happens next, you know that something will happen, yes? How likely is it that nothing will happen? Or as one writer once said, suddenly nothing happened. How likely is it that nothing at all will happen? Wouldn't you say that that likelihood is most probably, let's say 0? Something's going to happen next, right?
well, Bashar, I'll be honest with you. That thought of nothing happening, nothing is a relative term to me. Okay?
Let's put it this way. You see, this comes from a lack of understanding of the nature of existence itself.
Thank you.
It is not possible for you to experience non-existence by definition. Non-existence means there is no experience. You cannot experience non-existence because you already exist. Existence only has one quality: to exist. That which exists doesn't become that which doesn't exist. That which doesn't exist already doesn't exist. And non-existence is already full of all the things that will never exist. There's no room in non-existence for that which does exist. Do you understand these concepts as they translate into your language?
Yes.
So it's not actually possible. This is one of the few things that is actually truly impossible. It is not possible for that which is to no longer be that which is. That's its only quality. It's the first law of creation. You exist. That's it. You can't do anything about that. You'll change. That's another law. You'll transform how you exist. But the fact of your existence is woven into the very fabric of existence itself, and that can't change. And let me put it this way, it's not something to worry about, because if it actually were possible for that to change, you wouldn't know that it had changed anyway, because there is no experience in non-existence. So if you were to become non-existent, you wouldn't know it. So what's to be afraid of? So the point is that whatever it is that happens next, there has to be something that happens next, because that's the only thing that can happen in existence, and you can't become non-existent. Are you following that so far?
I do follow that. Can I introduce a subplot to the story?
Oh, a subplot. All right.
And it really becomes a matter of focus. Okay, there's as I see it, there's two ways you can go in life.
Oh, all right.
You can accentuate the positive and look forward to the next experience.
Yes.
And do that.
Yes.
And let that lead into something else.
Yes.
And ever and ever and ever.
Yes.
Or you can go, let's talk about the negative side.
All right.
Of who I am and what I'm trying to
Yes,
resolve.
you can accentuate the negative and let that lead to the next thing and the next thing. But you see, the point still is there will still be a next thing.
Or try and understand.
No, understand. There is no trying to understand. You either understand or you don't.
Okay. All right.
Now, let me put it to you this way. One moment. A further subtle explanation. We understand what you mean by trying to understand. We understand what you mean by process. Nevertheless, here's the actual truth about what a process is. A process is not actually in any way, shape, or form trying to understand. A process is simply getting to the point where you finally give yourself permission to understand. So the idea is that you may simply go through an experience and still not give yourself permission to understand. And you may do that again and not give yourself permission to understand. And in all of those experiences, you are actually not trying to understand. You're actually choosing to not understand.
Okay.
And eventually you get to the point where you are finally don't need to choose that, and you suddenly choose to simply understand. All of the times you chose to not understand do not actually, literally, physically, mechanically have anything at all to do with your ability in the next moment to choose to understand. Any process you went through that made it seem as if that gave you more ability to understand actually didn't give you more ability. It just gave you more time for you to let it be all right to finally choose to understand.
Okay, well, let's talk about a way I can understand something
Yes.
that I've been trying to understand
Yes.
for a long time.
All right, and that would be what?
Something that,
Be specific.
okay, this does not, the irony of it is, this does not seem native to me. This is
We
not,
love irony.
it does not seem
Native to you.
native, it does not seem natural. I do not know
Yes.
why I hang on to a certain fear
Of what?
of, I don't know.
Yes, of what?
Of
Understand right now, you're sitting in your movie theater watching your movie and you're allowing the film to break. Get to the point where the fear presents itself, invite it in so you can get on with the movie.
of not willing to be who I know myself to be.
Because you fear that if you do, what will happen? You see, this is one of the strongest ways to find out what your fears actually are, is to actually amplify and magnify them by allowing yourself to imagine what the worst possible thing you fear might happen is, should you allow yourself to actually be who you say you prefer to be. So what's the worst possible thing you imagine might happen if you did be who you prefer to be? Give it voice. Get it out there. Because once you get it out there, once you actually say what you fear the worst thing is, then you have something to work with. Then you have a really good villain. Then you can become a really strong hero. So, invent a really good villain. What's the worst thing you fear will happen if you actually allow yourself to become who you prefer to be? Spit it out.
Too much exposure is the only thing I can think of.
Exposure to what? Exposure to what? In what way? Seems like you're getting some help from the peanut gallery. Shh, no talking during the movie. Exposure. What does exposure mean? That somehow someone is going to come up and say something that you believe would devalue you? Is that what you fear? What do you really fear? Speak, speak, speak.
It's there on the tip of my tongue.
Give me the scenario. You have the picture in your head. Paint the picture. What do you fear might happen?
I understand why I separated myself from myself to the degree that I did, because I went deep. I went real deep.
That's all right.
I
If you
understand
understand that, then If you understand that, and you understand that now you are basically choosing to be done with that, then why aren't you done with it?
Well, that's the edge or the
$64,000 question?
well, I'm standing on that edge right now.
Well, listen to
and
this. Listen to this. Listen to this. The only reason, all of you, listen to this. The only reason you hold on to something you say you don't is because you still believe that it somehow serves you in a positive way to do so. So what's your belief about that? Do you believe that holding on to this, the thing that prevents you from being yourself, somehow keeps you safer than you might be by being yourself? Is that what you're getting out of holding on to something you say you don't want? Because the only reason you hold on to something you say you don't want is because you perceive or have defined that there's a benefit to do so. Because as soon as you define there is no benefit to do so, you'll let it go instantaneously, believe me. So the only reason you hold on to something that you say you don't prefer is because you must have an unconscious belief that there is some benefit to doing so. If you find out what that belief is and identify it, then it gives you more ability to let that go. So what benefit do you believe you're getting out of holding on to a state of being you say you don't prefer?
Because the next step is,
Yes.
losing this or surrendering to this. I'm out.
Are you equating surrendering with losing something? Is that your definition?
I'm equating surrendering with just letting go.
But why are you defining that as a negative?
I'm not defining it as a negative.
Then why aren't you letting go?
I guess I'm not at that point right now.
No. Listen again. There is no such thing as not being at that point. That really doesn't have any meaning at all. If you are not letting go of something that you say you wish to let go of, it's because you are choosing to not let go because you believe it serves you. It's not about I'm not at that point yet. It's about the fact that you are deliberately choosing to hold on to it. You have to find out why. And the reason why will always be, yes, always be, you have defined that holding on to it is beneficial. How does it benefit you to hold on to this thing you say you don't prefer?
The safety net, that might be part of it. But
So you feel you need one because you fear that what will happen? What? What will happen if you just let go? What will happen? What's the worst that could happen? Come on, give it voice. Be bold.
maybe there's an element of maybe of non-acceptance of.
Who cares?
Well, I don't give a shit about that.
Obviously you do.
But I don't.
But
That's
you obviously
that's the whole point.
do.
I'm at the point where I just don't give a shit anymore.
Then why not let go?
That's.
Obviously you do. You see, this is what you're not allowing to be obvious. The belief may be unconscious. You may think, consciously you may think you don't care anymore, but your actions show you do.
That is
Your
absolutely
fear
true.
tells you do. So without the action, with the idea of still feeling fear, those are the barometers to pay attention to. The fear and the non-action in the direction you prefer tells you there's a belief you're unaware of. So it doesn't matter if you sit there and insist, I don't care. All you're saying is, consciously, you can't figure out what the belief is.
That's right, because I understand everything that you're talking about.
But you know the belief must be there.
Yes, I do. I'm not.
Then find out what it is by asking the question, what would I have to believe is true of my relationship to this situation in order to hold on to something I say I don't prefer? There is an answer. There is a definition you have to be holding on to. Otherwise, you wouldn't be asking this question of us. You're holding on to something you don't prefer.
I agree. From your perspective, just so others can ask questions, can you give me, besides asking the question, which I've done for a long time, can you give me a little
Yes.
push board? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that.
All right. Have you heard us talk about the idea of the two-word sacred mantra?
No, I haven't.
Repeat after me. So what? Very powerful. Two-word sacred mantra. So in other words, should you decide to move forward and should what you fear will happen, so what? Pick yourself up, keep moving. It cannot actually ultimately destroy you. It will only make you stronger. Because you will have discovered more of yourself. Even if the modality, remember what we said? Even if the modality is extremely scary, even if the scenario is extremely frightening, invite yourself to go through it because you will go through it.
My fear is it's too big. That's
Nonsense.
That's the fear. That's what I'm holding on to. You asked what my fear was?
Yes, but it's nonsense because it cannot by definition be bigger than you are.
I totally agree.
Well, there you go. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good day, dear Bashar. Arthur here. We are tapping into what we are the vibration of, as everything is here and now. And I understand that each and every one of us is that permission slip in and of itself. Could you please share with us the mechanics of storing energy outside of yourself in order to be able to access it then later at any given point in time? Thank you very much. Ha, Atu, and Aveo.
There is an electromagnetic field around you made of spinning electrons. You can, in many ways, and do in many ways, store energy slightly outside of your physical form there and can draw upon it later when you become more aware of how to make those electrons spin harmoniously, when they spin at the same rate all the time. Then they can act as a kind of a dynamo or a wheel, in a sense, that will store energy that you can tap into at another time.
How are you doing, Bashar?
Perfect. And you?
Perfect.
All right.
A couple questions for you.
Yes.
So my first question is that, in general, I'm living a very passionate life that I very much enjoy. There are a few aspects of my job that I sometimes wish were different, and sometimes I get frustrated when thinking about them.
Can you make them different?
What was that?
Can you make them different?
I think so. That's sort of what I'm struggling between. If I should attempt to change them, kind of push and change them, or if it's something that I need to sort of live into fully in order to transcend.
Well, again, yes. And again, you have to be honest with your self-examination. Are you the one dampening the excitement that could be in those portions of your job because you have certain belief systems that are not allowing you to figure out how to do them in a more exciting way? Or are they truly not representative of your excitement and can't be altered in any way, shape, or form according to the parameters of the job that would actually be representative of your excitement, which might be a clue that this isn't overall the job for you. So you have to make that determination within yourself, but always check with yourself first to make sure you're not the one dampening the excitement when it could be something exciting if you can open your imagination and do it in a more exciting way. So,
Okay. So, it would, if it's something that I can't immediately change in my current, for the most part, I love my job. It's a small aspect I wish is different. And it's something I foresee I likely am going to need to be doing. What would your advice?
Well, what is your job?
I'm a high school teacher.
Yes.
And part of I work at a boarding school, and part of my job is that I have to coach certain sports. And there's a sport that I'm coaching this winter with an individual who I don't particularly enjoy working with, and there's elements of that specific part of my job I wish were different, and it's looking like I might not be able to change them.
All right, and why don't you enjoy working with that individual?
He's just much more intense than I am, and I would define him maybe as slightly angry and irritable and just energetically, I get along with him, but I get a feeling inside me, like I almost wish I was doing it on my own rather than with him. And then
all right. Is there not something you can do in your interaction that can help him raise his frequency? Can you not, in a sense, be disarming with him?
Yes, I certainly can. And I guess that's kind of what I'm trying to sift out right now is like what's the best way for me to step into this.
All right. Well, I'm not saying this has to be it, but you could open up your imagination and think of a number of different ways you could interact with this individual. First and foremost, of course, not taking the irritation on yourself because you're creating that within your own energy. So the idea is you can attempt some experiments to adopt different aspects of your personality when interacting with that personality to become someone a little different than you are and approach him in a very different way that's more disarming. You may use humor to disarm the intensity of that individual. You may use some form of wisdom or sayings to disarm him, but the idea is to maintain your true personality so that you do not lower your vibration to match his, which is what causes the struggle within you. You have to approach this as if it doesn't affect you at all. You can look at this individual in a number of different ways, and we would suggest that you explore doing so. Step outside the bounds of what you think your personality is and see what else you may be able to become to interact with that individual. Become a little bit more like a chameleon and shift in whatever way allows you to feel the way you prefer to feel, while allowing a portion of your personality to interact with him in a different way that may allow him to let go of the irritations and anger that he may be experiencing. And you can also have heart-to-heart with this individual if you haven't done so, to let him know how it is he may be coming across, which he may not even understand. Have you had a heart-to-heart conversation with this person?
And to be fully clear, like, he's just one aspect of it. The other aspect...
I don't care. Don't avoid the question. Have you had a heart-to-heart with this person?
No, I have not.
Why not? What are you afraid of?
I guess it just didn't...
Do you remember that we have said that communication is one of the forms of abundance?
Yes.
This is exactly why. When you can clearly communicate in a loving way what it is that you perceive is going on, you may actually be capable of using that form of abundance to allow the other individual to have an opportunity to change themselves. Not that they have to, not that they will, but at least give them the option, give them the opportunity by allowing them to know how you are perceiving them, how others may be perceiving them. And therefore, they may not even realize how they're coming across, but you can give them an opportunity to know so. Again, doesn't mean they'll change. And again, it doesn't mean you have to feel affected by it. But if it persists beyond the idea of anything that you can do to help the situation be more creative, change in more positive ways, then you may have to determine that it might be possible that you need to be in a different location with different people to do what it is you're excited to do. This isn't the only job in the world where you can do what it is you're doing.
Right. Definitely.
So all of these options are available to you, but you actually have to use your power to act on them. Otherwise, you'll never know what could have changed.
Beautiful. And is the situation that I'm going into, I mean, I know the answer to this, but it's all here for me, right?
Of course. And for others. Again, it's not always a one-to-one reflection when you encounter someone who's nothing like you, but it is in your life for a reason because you may be able to help them.
Yeah, beautiful. Okay, I have one or two more questions, if that's okay.
Yes.
So I'm wondering if you can explain what is happening, like, energetically in my consciousness or one's consciousness when I experience feelings of guilt or unworthiness. What is happening to my consciousness when that's going on?
You are lowering your overall energy frequency and you are slowing down the transmission of information along the neurological pathways of your body and your brain.
Interesting. Beautiful.
And your final question?
My final question is that I have a tendency to
You choose.
Okay.
I choose. Yes?
Yeah. I often choose to seek approval of others, and I'm wondering what is an effective way to unlearn this.
Why do you care what others think? They're not living your life. You are. You can take advice when and where you feel it's appropriate to absorb it and apply it in your life, but you're the one that gets to decide what's true for you. So why do you care when someone who's not living your life tells you something or needs to approve you? Why don't you simply approve yourself?
Yeah, no, it's a good question. And
Thank you. Do you have a good answer? What do you get? Here's the way you ask the question. What am I getting out of needing the approval of others that I'm not doing for myself? What am I getting out of it? Because you don't do anything that you don't believe serves you somehow. And sometimes that simply means that the alternative, because of your belief system, is too scary. So you stay where you are because it's familiar. So
I feel like
what are you getting out of it?
I feel like I'm often worried about making other people uncomfortable if I'm living my true self, that it's like too much for them. And so I'm
So
very
what?
much- Yeah.
Again, if you're not doing something intentionally to harm them, intentionally to make them feel uncomfortable, if you're really truly being yourself to the best you can, then whatever they choose to feel is their choice. So why are you going to make your life conditional on someone else's issues?
Yeah.
Is this helping?
No, yeah, it is.
All right.
Helping very much.
So ponder those questions for yourself and see if they still make sense to you, because when they stop making sense, you'll let them go.
Beautiful. All right. Thank you so much, Bashar.
You are welcome.
All right. Have a good day.
I absolutely will. You may too.
Thank you.
Hello, Bashar. My name is Shauna, and I live in Salem, New Hampshire. I am still fairly new to your teachings. I've been listening in for about a year now. And there are a couple of things that you mentioned which I'm hoping that you can give me clarification on. One is the threshold of believability test. I've heard you mention that. And the other is permission slips. I have a fairly good idea of what you're talking about in regards to permission slips, but if you could clarify that definition, that would be fantastic. And the threshold of believability test, again, if you could clarify that definition so that I may start to notice more about myself and put this test into practice. Thank you so much, Bashar. Good day.
The threshold of believability test is if there is something that you recognize as your preference, but your belief system is saying that it may be a long time before you can actually experience it in your life, then the threshold of believability test is for you to start at a time when your belief system makes it easy for you to accept that it will happen. So in other words, for example, can it be possible? Can it be probable for this thing to manifest that I prefer in my life? No insistence though. In 20 years, if there is absolutely no hesitation whatsoever to say, yes, I absolutely know for a fact that it's possible that 20 years is more than enough time for something like that to manifest in my life. Then you go down the scale. Is it possible in 15 years? Yes, no problem. 10 years? Absolutely more than enough time. No hesitation answering yes to that at all. 5 years? Not sure. As soon as there is hesitation, that's how long it will take with your present belief system. So you have to find out what belief is telling you that it has to take that long. And if you find that you can change that belief by identifying what it's telling you and changing the story behind it, then you take the test over again. 20 years, no problem. 15 years, no problem. 10 years, no problem. 5 years, absolutely no problem. 3 years? Well, if you hesitate again, even for a fraction of a second, now that's how long it will take with your present belief system. So look again at why you believe it would take that long for whatever reasons you're creating, and see if you can change that belief in a way that you actually know for sure that that's a way you can change the belief. You can't fool yourself. You have to really know that that's simple and it's easy to do. And you keep going down and down and down until you can go down and change anything no further. That's how long then it needs to take in order for you to experience the physical processes necessary for you to fully appreciate it when it manifests, because it will probably take a little time. Some things can happen more instantaneously, but in most cases you will need a process so that you learn what you need to learn, so that by the time that thing happens, you'll be able to handle it in the best possible way that serves you. So that is the threshold of believability. Now, a permission slip is simply any technique, any tool, any ritual, any object, any discipline, anything in physical reality that you believe will help you become more of who you are, because you're attracted to use it because you believe it aligns with your belief system and will actually allow you to circumvent that belief system to have a broader sense of what is possible for you. So if you're attracted to ideas like astrology or a crystal ball or tea leaves or anything like that, or a particular religion or what have you, or an object of any kind, it's because you believe it will help you do what you need to do to make the changes that you need to make. Now, of course, you're making the changes. The belief system and the permission slip, in that sense, are working hand in hand to make it seem easier to accept the change within yourself, but they're not actually doing it for you, the permission slip. It's just a way of saying, with this assisting me, I believe I can change. Ultimately, you realize you are the actual permission slip, and you can change in any way, shape, or form that you prefer to at any time without necessarily needing a ritual or an object to make it easier for you to do so. The transmission this day of your time is called the Shells of Earth. We are going to briefly describe the different layers or frequencies that are closely connected to your physical reality, and in which different kinds of experiences can be had. Of course, you have the physical shell, which you are very familiar with as physical beings having a physical experience, but with a slight shift in frequency, you can experience what we call the elemental shell. And the elemental shell is where you meet elemental beings, elemental expressions of consciousness, such as pukas, fairies, sylphs, silkies, flaming salamanders, and many other representations that elemental consciousness has the ability to present itself in. Now, these shells don't really move outward per se. That's just the way you might experience them a little bit in physical reality from your space-time perspective. They're all right here, like everything is, but they're just slightly different frequencies that are still very strongly connected to physical reality. So by allowing yourself, in whatever way works for you, through meditation, through other exercises, to imagine and ponder and get in touch with the idea of these different frequencies, based on whatever symbols you already understand them to be, you will connect and be able, if you practice, to communicate in different ways with the different forms and expressions of consciousness that can present themselves to you in these different frequency shells. So, as we said, there's the physical, now there's the elemental. Elemental beings are kind of like a part of the overall energy of the earth, but they don't have to necessarily continue in a particular form. They're much more flexible, much more malleable in how they present themselves. They can present themselves as very solidly physical, but it's more like they're on a level that's akin to the idea of moldable clay, where they can go back into the energy and disappear, become non-physical, or at least quasi-physical, in a way that you cannot perceive them, and then they can crystallize themselves in some physical form And that's why they can also be shapeshifters, taking many different forms. So by focusing on whatever affinity you have in a relaxed state, an open-minded state to the elemental shell, and practice this on a regular basis, you can develop more communication, more awareness, more ability to perceive elemental beings, maybe even slightly before they make themselves more solid, because you can extend your senses by following the formula, and that makes you more capable of seeing things that are invisible to you now, but can become visible to you as you extend the sensitivity of your senses. So by interacting with the elementals, you can gain a deeper appreciation and understanding of your place in nature by relating to their place in nature within the elemental shell, and you can become more flexible in your experience of space and time by forming that relationship with the elementals. After that, there is the frequency of the etheric shell, and this is what includes the idea that you typically refer to as the lower astral realm. While that may seem to be the idea of a realm or a frequency or a shell that is completely in spirit, it actually has a lower frequency component that connects directly to physical reality. It's a borderline, a borderland in which spirit beings can also make themselves appear to be relatively solid, or at least to some degree visible. This is where the idea of ghosts reside. So the etheric shell is what allows, in its frequency, a spirit being to lower its frequency to be closer to the idea of the physical shell, the physical frequency, while not completely actually being so. But the lower astral realm, the etheric shell, can allow them to present a representation of themselves as physical, because it's a low enough frequency, close enough to physical reality, for you to be able to perceive them. Especially, again, if you raise your vibration even just a little bit, you can not only perceive the elementals when they make themselves come closer to physical reality vibrations, but also the idea of spirits who may take on the qualities of the etheric shell in the lower astral frequency to make themselves visible and appear very solid and even be touchable to you while still remaining in spirit. It's just that they're using the vibration of the etheric shell to imprint themselves a little bit more into your physical reality experience. Then, beyond the elemental and etheric shells, you have the archetypal shell. This is where consciousness resides and presents itself in kind of a small series of group collectives that represent symbolically different attributes of beings. So it's a more of a symbolic representation, but you can still experience many of the representations of consciousness as if they are, in many ways, physical beings. But these are more representative of qualities. So you can create the idea of what you call god or goddess presentations, even angelic presentations. The idea, again, being that they're imprinting themselves in the archetypal shell to represent a certain quality or experience of energy. In other words, examples like motherhood, fatherhood, childhood, or the idea of elemental ideas, not in the same elemental shell, but the idea of the old concepts of elemental ideas. The sun, the moon, water, fire, earth, air. These kinds of things are presented in the archetypal shell, which is a symbolic representation, but can take on physical representations that would be familiar to you. They can look like human beings. They can look like demigods. They can look like the elements themselves, like a fire being, a water being, an air being, an earth being. They can take on many natural qualities to symbolically represent an entirely large concept that builds up the concept of physical reality in components. So you have the idea of, as I said, the earth vibration, the fire vibration, the spirit vibration. These things take on this quality of being archetypal symbols that represent whole entire concepts or directions or qualities of things that are close to your experience of physical reality. Then beyond the archetypal shell, there is the collective shell. And this means simply the collective consciousness of your entire planet, everything on it, not even just humans, but everything on it. The trees, the rocks, the sea, the animals. And it gives you an opportunity to experience your way of connecting to the cosmos while still retaining a connection in a grounded state to physical reality. The collective consciousness has been represented through different beings, through ascended masters and various teachers throughout your history, being that they would tap into that collective and sort of channel it to you. Beings like Jesus, Krishna, Buddha, Vavoka, so on and so forth, Mary. All of these kinds of beings in various forms have been able to tap into the collective of your planet, the higher mind of all of you, so to speak, to bring through information, to share information. But of course, this doesn't mean that each and every one of you can't tap into this on your own. To access the collective information that you may require here and there, now and then, to apply in your lives in a way that allows you to be more balanced, more positive, more powerful, more energetic in your expression of physical reality. So you have these different shells, and there are others, but the ones that go beyond the collective are not as closely connected to your physical reality. They then include the idea of going into spirit, higher dimensions, so on and so forth. And it doesn't mean, again, you can't tap into them, but these shells, the physical, the elemental, the etheric, the archetypal, and the collective, are the ones that are the vibrational levels most closely associated to your experience of physical reality, and on which you rely, whether you know it or not, on which you tap into, whether you know it or not, more often than not, to guide you in life and to experience the connections that you may feel to nature and the collectivity of your entire species and your reality as you experience your journey on Earth. So allow yourself to practice this by opening up in your imagination, whether through a meditation or whatever technique you wish. Even gardening can do it because you're close to the earth and close to nature and start to feel yourself as connected to nature. And even the idea of the cryptic meditations that Willa has delivered to all of you will aid and assist you in getting in touch with the elemental level and maybe even the etheric, because again, physicalized spirits of the lower astral are also part and parcel of the cryptic and nocturnal journeys. Then you can go into parallel realities at another time. But first, gain some insight and gain some familiarity with the etheric shell and the archetypal shell and the collective shell, along with the elemental and the physical. And you will feel more things happening synchronistically that contain and include experiences within those shells, so that you broaden and enrich your experience of physical reality beyond the physical shell, but only into those shells that include the ability to connect to physical reality in a way that serves you best in life, on your path, on your journey of being more of who you truly are. We thank you for allowing us to share this idea with you today. And in return for the gift you have given us of interacting with each and every one of you, we ask now, with your questions and dialogue, how may we be of service to you? Then at this time, we will proceed with the idea of your meditation. Allow yourselves to become very relaxed. Let go of the cares of the day. Let it all flow away, and let your light flow into you and expand throughout you. And allow yourself to open your minds and imaginations to the idea of the different shells of Earth. Again, these are simply different vibrational states that represent different levels of consciousness that are connected to your planet, to your people, to nature, in a variety of ways. So let yourself simply be familiar with the idea, first and foremost, of course, of the physical shell, in a calm, relaxed, natural way. The beauty of it, the nurturing of it, of nature itself, the warmth of it, the coolness of it, all the things that to you represent the most positive qualities of physical reality. When you allow yourself to feel that vibration expanding within you, then let your imagination take it a little bit farther up the vibrational scale in frequency and pierce into the idea of the elemental shell, where there is a free-flowing consciousness that can allow itself to crystallize here and there in different shapes, different presentations and representations, to interact with each and every one of you in ways that will stimulate your consciousness, allow you to see things differently than you ever have before, may send you down new paths of experience and understanding. Allow yourself to know that those elementals are always there. You may not always see them, but you may feel them, until such time as you allow yourself to equalize your vibration with the elemental shell so that they can become quasi-visible, which will act for them as more of an invitation to become more solid and more visible to you. So allow yourself to think of them as being just right on the edge of physical reality as you know it. Doesn't take much of a vibrational shift to experience them. Then allow yourself to open up to the etheric shell, in which you can have communications and conversations with spirits, with beings that may once, in your terms, linearly have been alive on your planet and are no longer, your spirit guides, friends and family that have passed on, who may be able now and then, when appropriate, to take on a physical form representation to interact with you more solidly in that lower astral realm that vibrationally is very strongly connected to physical reality. Allow yourself to allow your mind to go into, your imagination to go into that etheric realm where the spirits can make themselves known to you, and you can have the communications that will let you know that nothing has been lost, that the relationships still exist, that you can learn and play together on and on eternally, no matter what state of being anyone may be in. And then allow your imaginations to broaden and allow your vibrations to rise into the archetypal shell that allow you to commune with the gods and goddesses, with the symbolic forms of shamans, with lightning and thunder, and even with the beginnings of the Kachina beings, the spirit beings that exist between dimensions, for they can partake of the archetypal shell to present themselves in ways that make sense to the symbols of your physical mind, so that you can learn to have a different style of communication in symbolic form, and open up your telepathy and telempathy with them to really let in the idea of the symbols that represent your path in life, so that you can learn a language that is more simplified, more telepathic, so you can move forward and expand your vibration in a very different way, and learn more about the path that you are above and beyond the physical reality, and how different groupings on your planets with different agendas and different goals can sometimes be a way that archetypal consciousness has of presenting itself by bringing together people of like mind for different purposes that are their passion, and in those groupings to represent an archetypal ideal, an archetypal path, an archetypal energy that can guide you by being familiar with your particular ideas, your particular passions, and you gather together and attract to you magnetically all the beings of like mind, and thus contain within that grouping a powerful archetypal presentation of a higher energy that will allow you to move forward in an effortless, efficient way. And then continue to expand your consciousness to incorporate all of the ascended masters and teachers that have brought through the collective consciousness to let you all know you are equally powerful, that your vibration can raise to a high point of fourth density reality where you have strong connections to all that is in a variety of ways that are relevant and germane for your physical path, to be teachers yourselves and learners yourselves on your path, as your path, to share with others that which you know will serve them, which will allow them to illuminate their own inner spark and broaden it and shine it forth. Whether they take it or not is not the issue, for it's none of your business whether they do. But to be of service to the collective whole, in love and light, in peace and harmony, in beauty and grace for all concerned, so that all may tap into that collective and be who they truly are, be the piece of the big puzzle picture that they were made to be the shape that is true for them, so that all may fit together in harmony with every other piece and form the big picture that supports all the pieces, even as the pieces support the big picture. Allow yourselves to let your vibrations rise according to what is needed at any given moment, dynamically shifting back and forth from shell to shell, or incorporating all the shells depending upon what it is you are doing and who it is you are being, and what aspects of yourself you are bringing to the forefront of your experience as a physical persona. Let it harmonize and blend with all the other aspects of your personality in whatever ways, again, serve you and everyone best. Let it all fall into place automatically through the beauty and the archetype of synchronicity, which permeates all of the vibrational energy of your reality. And it is one of the main structures of your reality itself. For everything is an orchestration. Everything is synchronicity. It just depends on how you're looking at it. That reveals what you need to see out of the holographic whole that synchronicity is. For synchronicity is physical reality's way of letting you know that everything is connected, and that distance and separation are illusions. Use them to your benefit, but do not let them rule the structure of your consciousness in a way that prevents you from tapping into whatever you need at any given moment. For physical reality is a projection of your consciousness. In a sense, is an illusion that you can use to your benefit if you understand the power of the illusion instead of falling under the illusion of power. Let yourself drift and dream in this understanding and feel your vibrations shifting and rising and focusing on whatever shell is germane for you, is important for you, is relevant for you at any given moment, and interact with the forms of consciousness therein. They are there to serve you. You are there to serve them. Let yourself drift and dream and become more lucid in the concept of the physical dream, so that you become more lucid in all the different shells that allow you to dream the dream awake and aware as you move through life. The life that is you, the unique you, the aspect of you that is the reflection of all that is in this unique way. Breathe it in and make it your own. Our unconditional love to you all, our deep appreciation and gratitude to you all. Allow yourself and the shells within you to blend and harmonize as they need to, so that you may be more of who you truly are and shine forth as a living example to others, that they can also choose that path as well in their own unique way. Be here, be now, be at peace, and welcome home. We bid you good day.